Hello everybody, and welcome to this video review of Game of Thrones, the game, Episode 4, Sons of Winter, brought to you by Telltale. This is possibly the longest title I've ever heard a video game have, but it's really hard to describe or to even look up this game, because when you type in Game of Thrones, you're getting the books, and you type in Episode 4, you're getting a TV show, and you gotta type in the fact that it's a video game. A hassle. Anyways, so this is the second time I'm doing a video review. I reviewed the first two episodes of this game in written form and did not like them. And then I got real lazy because I committed to them blindly, and I have to commit to that commitment. I have to review the rest of these goddamn episodes. So I played through 3 begrudgingly and did a video review and actually liked that episode. And so now I'm at this weird juncture during this long series of reviews I've been doing over the last few months where I really like this episode. I feel like this is the best Game of Thrones episode Telltale has done, and I think it deserves a lot of credit. I was going to give it a much higher score. Unfortunately, I was bogged down yet again, and this is the 4th time in a row with this particular game that I have been bogged down by a number of technical glitches and issues, and sounds not coming through correctly, weird things happening with frame rate and texture pop in, and just there's a whole host of errors, and I don't know if that's in the retail game, I don't know if that's the review copy, the code I got, but it's happened before. I've lost a save, and it has just been a nightmare, and so I really feel disconnected from a lot of the choices that I have in this game. And I've sort of held on to that lingering thought for 4 reviews now, but this is for the first time in a very long time that I finally really think that my decisions mattered, that I sort of cared about what I was choosing, where before it was always sort of just the same shtick over and over with a lot of the characters, a lot of the same situations, a lot of the same decisions, and I just wasn't totally invested, and I only thought that one of the characters who you're watching right now, Mira Forrester, I thought that she was really the only interesting one. And even though this sequence is my favorite part of the episode, I feel like this is a really great moment where you go through and you eavesdrop and you talk to people and you're really doing detective work, and you're not Bigby Wolf. I mean, this is the best part of the game, so I threw this clip in, but besides this, there were actually other awesome moments in this episode, and it was a very long episode. I almost felt like it was 3 hours long. It was not, but it felt like it was 3 hours long. But there was just a lot of really good moments between the 4 central characters you're sort of bouncing between. I feel like always the weakest is Asher, I believe his name is. Yes. I have a friend named Asher, that's why. And he's in Marine, and he's helping to take over Marine with Bethka. These fucking names. And so you finally get a little more character development with her. And you both go through a very awesome action sequence towards the end that I really liked. And it did some nice little again, little Game of Thrones moments where it likes to subvert the genre in different tiny ways, which is always appreciated. But that sequence was very good. Probably one of the better action sequences done in this series. I feel like the best action you'll ever find in a Telltale game is Wolf Among Us, and not a lot of puzzle solving in any of these games, but I enjoyed that quite a bit. You also have Garrett, which sounds a lot like my name, Jared. He finally ditches the wall, thank God, because his stuff was totally just dragging its feet, and even Jon Snow could not save that storyline. That finally got better. He finally broke out, and he's starting to go into the North Grove and fight some wildlings, and there's some interesting stuff there. Certainly doesn't, make the episode amazing, but it doesn't hurt the episode at all. I feel like the only real thing hurting this episode is just technical difficulties and bugs and stuff that Telltale really needs to iron out. And the fact that it was too long, but I understand why it was too long. There were a lot of really good scenes you needed to build up all these storylines, and I can really foresee where episode 5 and 6 are going to sort of take us, and I like the sort of ending arc that we got, because it took a while for us to get here, and there's a lot of fat that could have trimmed. This could have been a 5-episode season, but they finally got around to kicking some ass and taking some names, which I enjoyed. And the other storyline, which has now gotten really interesting, is the Roderick stuff, and that just forever I could not care about at all, and considering that I had lost my save, or no, my save was there, which just didn't like matter. Like it got corrupted, but not actually corrupted. Like the game just refused to like accept the choices. You know, even though the save file was there. This happened between episode 1 and 2, and we had to talk to Telltale about that. It was a really weird series of events. So I didn't really care about my choices in those first 2 episodes, and even the 3, I was still very wary of like, oh, I don't really care about Roderick's plight. His family is screwed. All the moments that are going to happen, they're just going to happen. Like, we're going to get from A to B to C, no matter what this game wants. You know, it tells me otherwise. It's going to get to where it needs to go. It's going to have these certain events happen. My choices don't matter. And I finally sort of, like, gave that thought away. I finally let go of that a little bit, only because there's a lot of sort of important, crucial choices that you make in this episode that I liked. There are some stupid ones. There are some ones that I was like, is this really a big decision where there's only 2, you got to pick one or the other? But for the Roderick storyline in particular, that was the one where like things really got going, and they finally sort of give you this nice like denouement. They give you this nice moment of like, oh, finally, you don't have to like deal with like someone like yelling at you, kicking you down, and like, are you gonna kiss my ring and bend the knee, or are you gonna fight back, whatever? Like you finally get some sort of ownership over that. You get some autonomy to do things, and it gets really, really interesting the more you go into that Roderick storyline, because now the storylines are starting to converge. Where like the Mira stuff, you're finally like getting information through this particular, you know, garden scene that sort of helps you with the other storylines, and we're at a point in the show where now I hope this is all spoilery. I hope you are a fan of Game of Thrones while you're watching this. We're at a point now where Marjorie's the queen. And even though she's technically right now in prison, as the you know, when this episode came out, that's what happened in the last episode. She does have power. Where earlier, you know, months ago, we didn't know what she was up to. So you were sort of like choosing your decisions based on where the show was and where it was going, and you weren't quite sure. And so now that we're sort of getting more information with season 5, that sort of helps out as well. I like that you now have a little more context to make your choices because you've seen more of the show. Like the season 5 has started. But there was a moment towards the end of the Roderick stuff that is very Red Wedding-esque, and there's a lot of like little like moments and things that sort of tip you off, and like there's even something you could say about like, oh man, this feels like the Red Wedding. And there was a moment where everyone got murdered, and like I chose some decision and everyone got murdered, and I thought it was like amazing. I was like, oh man, they're gonna go for it. And then the game went, you die, try again, and I had to restart that and choose something else, and that really sucked because I thought that was such a bold move. But no, it was actually not what the game wanted you to do. The game wanted you to not murder everybody, which was not my fault. But there you go. So that sort of sucked. But the one again, the thing that lifts this episode up to where I from it just being decent and mediocre or whatever to something I really liked was again the Mira stuff. Her storyline is fascinating because I ratted out my friend. I used her information to help my family, but actually help them this time, not like bullshit help them, where I'm like, oh, like, I'll promise you my help, and Tyrion gets thrown into a jail or whatever, or Marjorie doesn't give a shit. I got to be the one who investigated and learn about these new characters, and I'm the one who got to, you know, really affect what went on. By the way, this footage is PC. I played this on Xbox One. This is not my footage. I'll say that much. So this sequence in particular, but there was a lot of stuff with Mira that I absolutely loved, and I wish there was more stuff like that, more stuff like that, where you can just start to sort of play the Game of Thrones, and there was this moment at the end where you can sort of give it to one of the characters and say something really badass. It's like, don't fuck with me, like I'm Mira Forrester, like I will destroy you. And that might have been ballsy because now, like, you know, the guy knows that, like, I'm trying to get at him, but there were plenty of moments between the 4 characters in this episode that I really liked, and a lot of conversations, a lot of scenes, a lot of choices that I sort of felt were impactful. I sort of, like, for the last 3 episodes, I've been trying to care, I've been trying to pick things, and I didn't think it mattered, and I didn't give a shit, but now we're starting to get somewhere. I know who the traitor is in the council. I sort of sniffed it out, and the game gave me a lot of different things to choose, and I might have chosen poorly, even though I sort of knew who the rat was, who the mole was. I didn't bring him along on my journey, and I should have, and now I feel bad that I left him behind because he obviously would have broken people out or have caused some sort of ruckus. And so it was always sort of interesting just to like be in the moment, and be like, oh man, like I think I have a gut feeling, I think I know where I want to go with this, but I gotta choose the right thing, and then you fuck up the choice and you feel regret. And the only real big issue I have with this episode also is that the ending just terrible. It just ends with a character reveal, and I was like, okay, and then it just goes to a loading screen, and then it just loads up the trailer for like the next episode. Completely ends on a terrible, terrible note. They should have done something really awesome. The ending of episode 2 was great. There was a montage and a song. Ending episode 1 was great. This episode ends terribly, but the rest of it is very, very good. This is the best Game of Thrones episode. And I'm going to shut up now. So thank you for watching this, and come back to Geek Binge for more. Goodbye.